everybody. I am extremely excited and super stoked to be sewing this one today with you guys, the Trudy. So this is a revamp from the previous Trudy that I did. So this sew along will be featuring our stock panel so that the artwork doesn't throw anybody off. So we've got lots of, to make it simple for you, the front panel, the back panel. This is really nice because when Kim and Alex are printing on the brain, just kind of, anyway, so when Kim and Alex send you guys the panels that you purchase, you will see that it's clearly labeled out for you. This is the front panel, this is the back panel. So I'm going to be working through and going through like, this is the back panel, this is the side panel. So that's why you're going to be seeing a lot of my videos with these stock panels, so you know where everything goes. So this one is the Trudy. Trudy is about 11 inches tall. It's about 9 inches wide and roughly 3 inches wide. So it's about 3 inches, it's about 9 inches, it's about 11 inches. It's got 2 D-rings. Goes right here on the side. They have a hidden connector. On the inside, you have a recessed zipper. As you can see, I use a lot of bloody zipper tape, all from K&A. I do go through and we talk about this vinyl zipper tab. I also show you how to use a metal zipper cap. Just in case you want to use that instead, it's completely fine. We go through the inside as well. This is a super quick, super fast bag once you start doing it and getting into it. So I can't wait to sew with you, so let's get started. All right, general tools that I am going to be using include my awl, some double-sided tape. I've got multiple sizes here. I've got 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2 inch. I've got marking tools. I've got various ones. I've got a pair of snips. I've got an X-Acto knife. I've got a turning tool. Got my lighter, just in case. A ruler, this is from More Me Know. Got my rivet guide. Got my hole punch. And I've got my clips, just in case. I kind of was like, I'm missing something here. These are my general tools that I'll be using throughout my video. So for the Trudy, we have quite a few pieces, but I don't want you guys to get intimidated because this is such a fun and easy sew. So for the Trudy, you're going to have 2 D-ring connectors and a zipper enclosure. Then you're going to have your exterior zipper panels and your zipper interior lining. You are going to have an upper lining. There is no vinyl equivalent to those. You are going to have a side gusset. You're going to have 2 side gussets and a bottom gusset. I want to come back to this. And then those have equivalent in a lining. Now, what I want to talk about really quick before we move on is that these 3 look very similar. However, the side gussets will be the same size. The bottom gusset is about 1/4 inch longer than your side gussets. That's very important to make sure you're noting. Remember, your bottom gusset will be longer than your side gussets. And it's the same, here I'll show you. Move that, sorry. It'll be the same for your lining as well. As you can see, it's a little bit longer. It's about 1/4 inch longer. All right, so we'll set those aside. You're also going to have a front and back panel. And as you can see, I went ahead and I marked the centers on the top and bottom. I want us to go ahead and get that done for these. You can do that at a later time if you choose to. And then you're going to have a shorter back and front panel, and you'll see that this is distinctly shorter, and that's on purpose. So the first thing we are going to start is with our D-rings. So I'm going to get out our handy dandy trusty ruler, and I'm going to flip these over, and I'm going to draw a line right down the middle. I will be using probably a Sharpie to mark a lot of this so you can see it. So there is that one. And if it's not a Sharpie, I'll try to use a silver marking pen. So either be black marker or a silver marking pen. So I draw a line down the center of both of those. And then I'm going to use my 1/2 inch double-sided sticky tape here. And I'm going to put it right down the center there. Now you are able to use a 1/4 inch sticky tape or 1/8 inch sticky tape, whichever you feel most comfortable with. I personally like the 1/2 inch on these. I don't know why. Maybe it's I feel like I use less material. That's probably what it is. But I'm just going to take the edges here and we're going to go straight to the center. I'm going to use these clips here just to kind of help hold it in place. You don't have to do that, just an extra if we need it. Okay? Oops. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Well, maybe. Here, I'll put those in the garbage. Same thing. Right there. And right there. All right. Go ahead and throw those clips on. All right. So those are ready for the sewing machine. Then you're going to have your side gussets and your bottom gusset. The way these are going to go together are going to be like this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clip this just so it's all ready, and I'm going to roll this so it's out of our way and you can see all the steps. There we go. And then I'm going to do, well, I want my writing to go the same way, guys. I don't know if you guys are as crazy as I am about that, but I do want my writing to go the same way. So, all right. Perfect. I'll roll that back up. And then do the same thing over here. Okay, and then I'm going to set that to the side. One more thing I'm going to get before we go to the machine is I'm going to get the matching liners to that, the matching interior lining. So you've got your bottom gusset, your side lining, and your side lining. And I am just going to do the exact same thing. Words go in the same direction. I'm going to and I'm going to set that to the side. Now there's a couple other things I want to go ahead and prep while we're at the table, if that's okay. So I'm going to grab our zipper panels and our zipper panel linings, and then I'm going to flip these over. And then on each end, we're going to draw, I'm going to go ahead and scoot those out of the way. Flip those over, and then we are going to draw a line 1/2 inch in on all the sides. So take my marker here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and on one side, and only one side, I'm going to put tape. It doesn't really matter, you're not going to see the lining part, so I'm just going to go for it here. And I'm going to rip that one off. You do see the zipper lining, so we'll put it on that side. And there. Okay. So that's prepped and ready. Also for this piece, these are your upper linings and your front linings. These are your interiors. I'm going to recommend that you go ahead, so like your front panels on your exterior, I had you find your centers. You're going to want to go ahead and do the exact same thing on these 4 pieces as well. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the centers on the tops and bottoms. One more thing I forgot to mention is that we need 12 inches of zipper tape. So I've got our zipper tape here, and I'm going to singe the end here as soon as I figure out where I put my lighter. I mentioned this in the earlier section that you need your zipper tape, so make sure you have your zipper tape. And you're going to go ahead and thread your zipper on it. My brain just completely went, yay, I don't know what to do it. So, sorry you can't probably see this, but I'm just threading it on. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to fold over the top edges of this zipper, like about a 1/2 inch. So the way that works is I'm going to pull this apart, and then I'm just going to like pinch it over, and it's like a 1/2 inch. See, it's like this, and I'm just going to line up those edges together. Hopefully you can see that really well, just lining up those edges. Now, some people are really good at this, and they can just take the lighter and go boop and like melt it together. I am not one of those people today. I'll try one more time, just so I can give it the good, yep, it's not going to work, which is fine. So I'm going to use a pen, stab myself to hold that in place. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, lining it up, the exact same thing, 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to use a pen to hold it in place. We're going to take that also with us when we go to the machine. And done. All right, so to the machine, we are going to take our zipper, our 2 D-ring connectors, those can go over here and sit in timeout. We're going to take our interior lining gusset, and we're going to take our exterior gusset, and we're going to go ahead and get these put together. So let's go on over and get started. All right, so we have a whole mess here, and that's okay, because I'm trying to do like 1,000 things for y'all, and that's wonderful. We have our D-rings connectors. We need our D-rings. Right, so I got my D-rings. So again, we have our D-ring connectors. D-rings, throw it out there all the way. We've got our exterior lining gusset, we have our interior lining gusset, and we have our zipper tape that we are going to sew these corners down so we can do later steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the sides down at a 1/4 inch stitch. And I'm going to do that for both of them, both sides. And then what I'll do is I'll go down, I'll go across, come back, go across. All right. It's all right, we'll come back to it. And then we're going to do the same thing again. On this one, I will backstitch at the beginning and the end, just so you can see both ways. That to the side. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. Now I'm just going to do a couple stitches along here, along the side, just to hold this in place. That's all I'm doing. On both sides, I'm going to run just a couple, 2 or 3 stitches back and forth to hold that in place, so that when we do sew it later, it doesn't come undone. You can see I pulled the pin out, it's held in place, it's not going anywhere. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. One more string. And now that one's done. Okay. Those are done. Zipper can't go nowhere. We can set that to the side. Okay, now I'm going to work on the exterior gusset. So what I'm going to do is I am going to sew across here at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to do that for both sides. Secret, it's the same thing for the lining. We go back to our work table. The next thing we need to do is unclip our fold. We need to stitch this seam down. So what we're going to do is we are going to spread this open, and we're going to base stitch 1/8 of an inch, or top stitch 1/8 of an inch down one side, cross the main stitch there, and go back down the other side, and that's going to lock those that seam down. You're going to do that here. You're going to do that here, and then we're going to do the same thing on the interior lining. And now we're ready to go back to the workbench. Alright, so now that we're back at the workbench, I'm going to set the interior lining to the side for now. What we need to do here is we need to go ahead and find our centers. So let's do that. We're going to make a couple marks here, so have your ruler and your marker ready. Alright, so the first mark we're going to make on this gusset is going to be 3/4 of an inch down. This will be for our drop-in lining, so we're just going to go ahead and make it and just not worry about it later. Okay, 3/4 of an inch down. Alright, that's your first mark on this panel. The second mark you're going to make is going to be right in the center at 1.5 inches down. So this panel is 3 inches wide. So you're going to go 1.5 inches down, and you're going to go make a mark right in the middle here, 1 inch wide. So right there, you should be able to see that. And then we're going to do the same thing right over there on the other side, 1.5 inches down, right in the center, 1 inch across. Oh, that's close enough. All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to get our X-Acto knife or sharp instrument. Make sure you handle this safely, do things safely, and you are going to cut from one side to the other completely. Please be safe while operating this dangerous, hazardous, crazy thing. Don't be like Nefarious. And you're going to do the same thing for both sides. All right, so cut through, cut through. Now, what we need now is our D-rings. 1, 2. And I'm going to switch to a silver marking pen. So I've got that ready to go. On our first side, we are going to have the split back of the D-ring facing up. All right, and we are going to slide that in. All right. Now, on the back here, this only needs to go in, I'm going to move that, about 1 inch. All right, so that looks great. So the first mark I am going to make is going to be between these threads, between your stitches here. I am going to go up about 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to sew between those two lines. Okay, so remember, that's 1 inch back, and that's 1/8 of an inch up. So between those two threads, I made a mark. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Split goes up. Gonna make sure it's only an inch back there. A little bit more. A little bit more. There we go. Flip this over. And then right between the threads, I'm going to stitch. Now I will be right back. You don't need to go with me on this one. I am just going to stitch from line to line. I will be right back. All right, as you can see, I made a stitch from this thread to this thread, making several back stitches to make sure it's good and secure. Afterwards, I used a ruler and I measured about a quarter inch down right in the center, and I made a mark using a silver marking pen. This will be important in just a minute. Then we are going to thread our D-ring with the flat side against the split, and then force our leg down into that hole. Those will line up fairly nicely. Straighten that up. Then we are going to use our hole punch. And on that mark we made, we are going to punch a hole. And that is where the rivets that we discussed in the hardware section is going to go. Right there. So there's one. And then the other side, same thing. Going to pop that hole out. Rivets that we already talked about in the hardware section. And then we are going to use a cam press and set those rivets. All right. So there we go. D-rings are in. Center is found. 3/4 of an inch mark is made. We'll set that right there for right now. Clean up our area a little bit here. All right. Now we're going to get our external panels. Now again, if you have not marked your centers, the top and the bottom, please do that now. I'm going to flip this over. Made a mess of things. On the back, we are going to go ahead and make a 3/4 inch mark from the top. I will use a black marker for this. All right, so that's done. And then we are going to start with our front panel. Now, you need your front panel, your gusset, and some clips. And by some, I mean quite a few. Oh, and you need a pair of snips. So definitely have all of that on hand. Alright, so I've got my clips, snips, panel, gusset. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to force that D-ring down, and I'm going to line up my top edge here. And my side. Force that D-ring down. Line up that corner and that edge. And then I'm going to take my center points And I'm going to line those up. Now, from here, I am just going to clip. Alright, so this is where I'm at right now. As you can see, I haven't clipped our corners. What I need to do is I need to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to snip about 1/4 inch snips all the way around here so that it'll lay flush into that corner. Now, you should just be able to push, and as you can see, maybe, how that now just goes into the corner. And then I'm going to clip, do it again over here. And clip. Alright, at the sewing machine that I'm about to go to, I'm going to start up here, back stitching at the beginning, and at the end I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around the bed. Now when I get to these corners, I'm going to take my time. I may end up hand cranking the wheel, but just so I can hit these corners and make sure I'm getting no holes. So 1/4 inch all the way around. Here we go. Okay, so starting at the top corner here, I'm going to backstitch at the beginning and the end, or I'm going to backstitch, go all the way around at a 1/4 inch, and then backstitch again at the end. Taking my time. Alright, so as you can see, I went around and I did that. Now, I'm going to do the exact same thing for the back panel. So, I'm going to grab that and show you the back panel. Okay, I've got the back panel. I'm going to start with the same thing. I'm going to line those corners up, just like we did for the front panel. Okay. And then I'm going to line our center marks up. So center mark, I'm going to line that up. Then, just like we did before, I'm going to go around 1/4 inch stitch all the way around, back stitching at the beginning and the end. You are going to want to squish your bag a little bit, and that's okay, because you're going to want to and need to. Put those back on the workbench. Alright, so this next thing is preference, I think. My preference is to do it this way, but you're welcome to do whatever you want to do. So I'm going to take my 1/4 inch double-sided tape and I'm going to apply it up here. I'll make a piece so I can show you. Up here in the seam. Alright, and I'm going to do it for all 8 seams. I had to do math in my head there because I can math sometimes. And it'll make sense in just a second what I'm doing. Double-sided tape. So I'm going to pull this paper off, maybe. I lied. Alright, there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over and I'm going to butterfly these seams open. And that double-sided tape that you just stuck in is going to hold it in place for us. So you can see all 4. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the same tape And starting wherever you feel comfortable, I'm going to take that tape and line it on either the top edge or the mark that we already made, which is the 3/4 inch line that we drew. And we are going to go and just put our tape all the way around. All right, just like that. See, I did mine around the top. Then we're going to pull the paper off. It's so sticky. All right, and then we're going to take that top and we are going to match it to the line. You shouldn't need it, but if you do, you are more than welcome to use clips to help hold it down. Like I'm going to use a clip here on this corner, clip here on this corner. All right, so as you can see, it's all clipped. Now, at this point, you can completely leave the bag like this for now, because we will have to come back to it. Or you can go ahead, leave your clips on and let it stay like that, and go ahead and just flip your bag up. Because remember, this is a drop-in lining bag. We are doing nothing else into this bag until the very end where we put the lining in and we top stitch. So go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and flip my bag out, but I'm going to leave the clips on. So I'll be right back. All right, so here she is all flipped out. Front panel, back panel. I didn't mention it, but you are totally welcome to use whatever stabilizer you want to use. I didn't use any stabilizer on this bag, but I have made this bag using Profuse Stiff from WAWAK. But I decided not to use anything on this bag. It works just as well because the inside is WPC or waterproof canvas, and it gives it a nice stiff lining anyway. It makes it nice and stiff. So I decided to go ahead and show you guys without the stabilizer for this video. So as you can see, she's turned out. We got our clips all ready to go. So she's looking good there, and I think we're ready to go onto our lining. So great job, guys. Let's get going. Now we're on to the part where we need our zipper panels, our zipper panel linings, and our zipper tape. So the great news is we've already done the pre-work where we drew our lines and we added our 1/4 inch double-sided tape. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump start this, and we're going to fold the edge to that black line. Alright, now the other thing we're going to do is using our 8-inch double-sided tape, I am going to run it from the edge down to about here on front and back both sides. This is just to help us out. Now, you don't have to do this. You are more than welcome to just clip or pin, or however you want to go about doing this. I prefer using the tape as a security guard because I just know I would lose the clips would pop off, and then I would be saying some choice words because everything just didn't work the way I wanted it to work. So we're not going to be doing that. And one more here. Alright, so let's stick one there. Alright, so what we are going to do is we're going to take this top off here. Now, we're going to take one of our zipper panel exteriors. Now, this line that we drew, I am going to line that up with the corner of our folded zipper tape. So, line that up, and then I'm going to press this together. So as you can see, this is about 1/2 inch down from the top. And then I'm going to line that up along the edge here. There's that. Flip it over. And then you're going to do the exact same thing with your zipper lining. I'm going to put the right side down, lining that zipper edge here up with that line we drew. And I'm going to press it down. Did I just... No, it was there. Oh, good. Alright. Alright, from here what I am going to do is I am going to stitch a 1/4 inch from the top here, going to this corner. I'm going to pivot, and then I'm going to sew all the way down. I am going to stick a clip there. All the way down to here. I am not going to sew past this. I am just going to fold to this. I'm going to sew to this fold, back stitch a little bit, and then come forward. But I am not going to sew past this fold. But that's what we're going to do. And we're going to do that on both sides. And that's why I split it, so that I could go ahead and prep both sides and be able to do both at the machine. And then finally this one here, and latch that up to the edges, and then I will clip that right there. Cool. Alright, one more time. I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way across till here, pivot, and then sew a 1/4 inch all the way down the zipper tape. When we get there, we're going to turn it out, and then we will top stitch. So let's go onto the machine and get that done. Alright, here we are at the machine, and we're going to go ahead and start our stitching. I'm going to pull this apart a little bit more. Alright, so here is our zipper tape. Alright, here's our zipper tape. I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch, pivot, go down all the way to the fold here, and then I'm not going to sew past that fold. I'm going to go back a couple stitches and back stitch, but you don't want to sew past that fold. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that taken care of, and we're going to do that for both sides. Those threads. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and take care of the other side. Looking good. Now, the next thing we want to do, grab a pair of scissors here, so we can make sure that this flips out really nicely. I'm going to snip this corner here, making sure I don't take out my stitch. Okay? Just across there so we don't take out our stitch. And I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it out. Now, it may be easier to heat this up and flip it out, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to use a chopstick to help push that corner out a little bit better. So I will be right back, and we'll get this going again. All right, we got them all turned out. Close enough anyway. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to line up the interior and the exterior together. There we go. All right, so we've got these all pinned back. So what we are going to do, let me get my awl here to show you. I'm going to start right here, and then I'm going to base stitch this down. Then I'm going to switch to a top stitch, and I'm going to top stitch all the way down to here. And then I'm going to pivot and base stitch the rest of this closed. And I'm going to do that for both of these. Okay? Same thing. So I'm going to move my bad boys out of the way. Give myself a little extra string there. And that one's done. I'm going to go ahead and zip this up. Oops. Maybe. And we're ready to go to the next step. Alright, so we're back at our workbench. We need the zipper panel we just finished. You need your upper linings, centers marked. You need your back linings, or your interior linings, centers marked. Now, you need to find your centers on your zipper panel, so you can just fold this in half, lining that up, and using a pair of scissors to make that center mark. A little bit better than that, please. I swear I can cut. That's fine. And I'll do it again over here. Okay. Now, what we are going to do, you're going to do the exact same thing for both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And I'll pull one of these out of the way. You are going to, with this side up, you are going to line your centers up, and then you are going to clip in place. Okay? Then you're going to take your upper lining and you're going to fold it down. Doing the exact same thing. Okay? Now, this one, we're doing the exact same thing. Okay? I'm move it out of the way. Of course, I gotta figure out how to pivot here. So you're lining your centers up, sticking the clips on there. And then sticking your lining on there. Lining all your centers up. Okay. So then when you look at this, it'll look like this, and then the zipper will come together. So we're going to go back to the sewing machine, and we are going to stitch these down at 1/4 inch, and then we will go on from there. So let's go ahead and get that going. Okay. So once more, we're going to sew 1/4 inch all the way across, beginning and end back stitching on both of these panels. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I don't want to get you guys confused before moving on to the next step. Once you have sewed your panels down, remember back stitching at the beginning and the end. What we are then going to do is we are going to lift this up, both the upper panel and your zipper panel. You're going to lift those up, and then you're going to give it a nice press. Now you can use a seam roller or whatever, and we're going to give that a nice press. And then what we're going to do is we are going to top stitch all the way down because we want to stitch this seam allowance down to the back side. All right, and you're going to do this exact thing to both your panels. Okay? So. Now, let me show you what this looks like all zipped up together. And you've got about half of your interior lining done. As you might have guessed, next we're going to attach your gusset. So we're going to go back to the workbench and I'm going to show you how to do that. Alright, so again, we are going to need our clips. You are going to need your front and back interior lining you just did. You're going to need your gusset lining you just did. And like I said, you're going to need clips. So the first thing we will do, because we've already found the centers on these, we need to find the center on our gusset here. I'll bring you some snips. All right. Now, before we go on, I lied. You're going to need something else here. You're going to need your ruler, and then you're going to need your marker, or your pen, or what you are using. Because this is the easiest point to do this. You're going to mark 3/4 inches. Because again, remember, this is a drop-in lining. So there's one. And then there is 2. I'm also going to do the same thing on the upper lining. Now, we could have done this before we attach to the zipper panel. The only thing I would warn against is if you're doing that, make sure you're paying attention when you are attaching to your zipper panel so you don't sew it upside down and, you know, have the line go in the other direction. Because, you know, I've done that, so don't do it. I just wait to this point and it's easier and I know I'm not going to mess it up. Alright, so I've got my lines drawn. Got my ruler out of the way. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to open this up and get this panel out of the way because it's just going to be in my way right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my centers. Alright. This is like bag making 101, right? Lining up our foundational marks or landmarks. Then you're going to line up our tops here. Almost took the wrong thing there. Just like we did on the other bag or other. With the exterior lining, we're going to have to snip our gusset. So I'm just going to give it just some quick 1/4 inch snips so we can get into that corner. And then I'm going to push it down into that corner. Now, I like to V my interior lining like this. I don't know, I think it sews pretty this way. You don't have to do it that way, but I just think it sews pretty. And I'm going to do it again over here. So I can get her out of the way. And I'm going to shove her in there. I don't know why I'm referring to it as a she. It's an inanimate object, but whatever. Alright, so this is what I was talking about being a little funky. So up at the tops, on both the left and the right side, I am going to start at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Backstitching at the beginning and the end, okay? 1/4 inch. As I progress, I will increase that seam allowance to 3/8 to maybe a 1/2 inch. I should be about a 1/2 inch, 3/8, or 3/8 or a 1/2 inch, depending on how you feel comfortable wise. It's entirely up to you. Right about here. I personally will take it a little bit more than 3/8. As I round this corner, I will keep it at that level all the way across the bottom. Same level up about here, and then I will bring it up to here. Once I hit this point, I will start decreasing it back to that 1/4 inch, or I will end at a 1/4 inch right here at the top. So we're going to do that. I'm going to make sure we got everything, and we're going to go back to the sewing machine and put her together.
Doing great. You're doing really good. So we are just going to start stitching this together. Remember I said we're going to start at 1/4 inch, increase to about 3/8, maybe 1/2 inch, depending on how you're feeling and if your machine's being friendly or frisky. And then we're going to be at that same stitch allowance all the way across, and then right about halfway up the other side we're going to start decreasing back to that 1/4 inch, and then end at a 1/4 inch, back stitching at the beginning and the end. All right, so let's go ahead and get that started so we can get this bag done. And honestly, I'm not sure where I'm at with the bobbin, so I could be playing bobbin chicken. My strings. It's not the strings I meant to cut, but we need to cut this anyway. All right, so she's all sewed up. Now we will end up trimming the seam allowance, but right now we're going to move on because we can move on. So just like we did, we're going to line up our centers. I'm going to add a clip on either side of that. I'm going to line up our corners. Now this is where it might get a little frisky, depending on how she's doing. I'm going to line up my corners here. Alright, push the zipper tape in. I clip the corners and then I force them into the corner. And now we're going to do the exact same thing. 1/4 inch to a 3/8 or a 1/2 inch, however you feel comfortable, all the way across the bottom at that same stitch length, taking it up the side and then reducing back to a 1/4 inch, back stitching at the beginning and the end. Alright guys, I know I say that word a lot, but this is definitely an alright, right? Okay. So hopefully somebody was babysitting me, because I was not babysitting myself. Oh my lord. So just take your seam allowance and trim it down to a 1/4 inch. My scissors had a nick in them, I think, so that's depressing. I wonder who used my scissors. Husband. Alright, so there's that. Then we'll do the other side. Exact same thing. Trim it down to a 1/4 inch. Cool. Now, we're going to do the next part. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to get our double-sided tape again. And just like we did for the exterior, I'm going to apply it to all of the seams on both sides to help butterfly them open. And then after they're all butterflied open, I'm going to apply it to either the top or the black line, doesn't matter which, and I'm going to fold it down to where we meet. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and I'll come back after I have applied the tape to the seams. All right, so I've got the tape on. Now I'm going to take the tape off, or I'm sorry, not the tape off. I'm going to take the paper off the tape, and we are going to butterfly the seams open. Well, that's the idea. All right, now I've got my butterfly, oops. No, I'm good. So now that they're all butterflied open, now I'm going to take tape and I'm going to apply it all the way around the back. All right, now I'm going to remove the paper and I'm going to fold the top down to match that black line. Again, you are welcome to use clips here if you feel better. Yeah. All right. So that's all ready to go. So now we're going to stick it in our bag. I've got the zipper going this way. I'm going to shove the lining inside. And then I'm going to match for landmarks. I'm going to use the corners, the corner seams on both the interior and the exterior to help line this bag up. All right, all ready to get top stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my threads long and I'm going to top stitch from the inside all the way around and then tie it off on the inside. Now you can do this however you feel comfortable with. You can flip the bag inside out and top stitch that way, but I'm going to set my foot on the inside and just top stitch all the way around. The easiest way to kind of show you where I'm putting my foot. I could be wrong, so we're going to find out together. So I'm going to do a 1/8 of an inch all the way around. You can do a 1/4. I just feel like this might be a little bit easier as an 1/8 of an inch. As you can see, I've got my threads pulled long because I'm going to pull them through and tie them off once I get all the way across. So it's on the inside, and I'm just going to tie these off, and then I'm going to singe it so it doesn't come undone. use your lighter. Push the bag, make sure it looks good. Now, just to give it a quick test, I'm going to back, front. Now, all we have left is this part. And I'm going to show you two different ways. So give me a second. All right, so there are two different ways you can finish your zipper tape. One is using the zipper in closure that looks like the same measurement as the D-ring tabs, or you can use a zipper cap, which you can get at on Amazon or other hardware stores. I think K&A actually has some of these right now, but I could be wrong. But these are really nice too. So I'll show you how to attach this really quick. The idea is that you would fold your zipper tape 1-2 times, tuck that in so it kind of looks like this, and then you would just slide that in. Okay, I messed that up. Sorry guys. And you may have to send your zipper tape again, because I might have to send my zipper tape again. And then you would slide this in as far in as you can go, and then on the back there is a screw hole, and you would just screw it in. Now you could put some glue on there and then screw it in, but I've always found that the screw is just fine by itself. Had no issues doing it that way. All right, I am going to singe this now. All right, so then the alternative method besides the zipper cover, which I'm going to put over here, is using this jobber. So you're going to put a piece of tape right in the middle and a piece of tape at the bottom. So what we would do is you're going to pull this tape off, and then you're going to fold the bottom up about 1/4 inch. All right, and then you're going to pull that middle tape off. And then you're going to line up the end of your zipper there. Then you're going to fold this down. I can do this, I'm a big girl. Fold this down so it looks like this. All right, I'm going to put a clip here. You're going to put a piece of tape on either end here. One here and one here. All right, and then you are going to take this end and you are going to fold it to the middle, and then you're going to do the same thing with the other one over here. Fold it towards the middle, just like that. And then afterwards, you will fold them both in half, like this. At which point you will stab it in the middle with a hole and put a rivet in the middle. So that's all you got to do. I'll show another video going through this a little bit better. So those are the two options for this. But other than that, once you would stab the rivet in there, you would just stick your zipper right inside this bag, and your bag's ready to rock and roll. Thank you. And the Trudy, it's a super quick and fun bag, and it's been so great sewing along with you. I'm Nefarious, so I hope to see you on some of my other sew-alongs. I am going to be doing quite a few with K&A. So when you get your panels, make sure you're tagging me, Kim, Alex, and Desiree, and Danielle. We want to see all your pretties. Lots of fantastic designs are coming, and I can't wait to sew along again with you. Bye-bye for now.